A lot of people hate the name of this show. I think they're right. A while back, a whole conversation broke out online about how much people hate the way we talk about cancer. The warrior language, be strong, stay positive, fight, kick cancer's ass. And the argument was simple. If beating cancer is a battle you win or lose, then everyone who dies of cancer died because they lost. They didn't fight hard enough. They weren't strong enough. As if a stage 4 diagnosis was a verdict on your character. I read all the posts and arguments. I want to be straight because I named the show Kicking Cancer's Ass. And the win-lose version of this is cruel. It turns the sickest people into failures. It tells a woman with metastatic breast cancer that she's letting everyone down by not being upbeat on the days she can't lift her head off the pillow. I've watched people apologize for being tired, for being scared. This warrior framing does that. But I don't mean that framing when I say kick cancer's ass. It's almost the opposite of what critics think. It doesn't have to do with winning. You can kick cancer's ass and still die of cancer. I mean, I've sat across from people who are doing exactly that, who did that. They're living with a disease that's not going to go anywhere. And in my opinion, they're kicking its ass every day. I'm Joelle Kaufman. This is Kicking Cancer's Ass. And this is our 53rd episode, our 1-year anniversary. Thanks for being here. Hey, it's Joelle. Before we get deeper into the episode, click the subscribe button and be part of our growing community of people committed to ensuring everyone can kick cancer's ass in whatever way. And you would help me a ton if you'd leave a review or a comment. If you're on Spotify, please give me 5 stars. If you're on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars and write something. If you're on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up and write a comment. This helps so much. And if you want more Kicking Cancer's Ass, you want the in-depth analyses and articles and resources, go over to kcapodcast.com, take a look. You can subscribe for free, or you can become a paid subscriber and get the really meaty, good stuff every week. Thank you for being here. Let's get back to the episode. You hear cancer, and it's like cancer takes over the ability to type or write. It wants to be the only author of what happens next. Decide how you're going to spend your time, who you are, what your days feel like, how afraid you're allowed to be. Kicking cancer's ass is choosing, as much as you possibly can, what role this thing gets to play in your life and how you're going to respond to it. It's refusing to be nothing but a passenger in something that's happening to you. That's the whole of it. It's not about the outcome. It's about the authorship of what happens. The outcome, a great deal of the time, isn't yours to choose. Your response is. I didn't arrive at that in the abstract. In January of 2023, the day before a surgery that was supposed to lower my odds of ever getting cancer, my surgeon called, the scan had come back, the mass was malignant. The surgery I had scheduled to prevent cancer was out because I already had cancer. I carry a BRCA1 mutation. My mother was diagnosed at 36 and survived. My sister at 29, and she's also a survivor. Many other people in my family have faced cancer, and I spent years getting screened every 6 months and contemplating when to have this surgery so that if I was going to have it, it wouldn't disrupt my life. Well, that didn't work out. So as I found myself, instead of recovering from surgery in an oncology appointment, I was kind of vibrating. Like there was a current running through me. And between telling my kids 2 nights before, when I also told a lot of other people because I didn't want people calling to ask my husband how the surgery went and having to have him tell everyone she didn't have surgery because she has cancer. That is not a story that gets better with repetition. So I decided I was going to make it a project. I called it the Cancer Obliteration Project, but the focus for me was how can I make cancer suck less? By the second round of chemo, I had a spreadsheet to track side effects. Now, I want to be careful because this is right when the toxic version of this story sneaks in. I am not telling you my cancer obliteration project framing or my spreadsheet cured my cancer. They did not. 12 rounds of chemotherapy, a year of immunotherapy, a very awesome surgery, a team of doctors at the cutting edge of science, they saved my life. 3 weeks before I was going to have the surgery for the second time, I was a clinically complete response. I was lucky. The cancer was gone. My oncologist looked at my labs and said, whatever you're doing, keep doing that. And I would love to tell you that I earned that result with my attitude. I did not. Plenty of people do everything I did and don't get that result. And if your story turns out different than mine, it's not because you wanted it less, fought it worse. It's not your fault. What the framing and the spreadsheet and the how to make cancer suck less actually did was smaller, but important. It kept me in the driver's seat. On the days I was terrified, and there were some, I was the one who decided what happened in the next 10 minutes. That part was mine. Cancer didn't get it. I used to tell people that I worked very hard to limit cancer to 1 day a week. And I was lucky because that mostly worked. But I'm going to give you another example of making a choice. So I chose to get a VoldaPort in my chest because I didn't want chemo going through my arms. And it was a reminder that I had had the choice to have this elective surgery for years. Any time from when I learned I was BRCA1 positive, it was possible. And for a whole bunch of reasons, I didn't do it. I didn't want to do it. I mean, who would want to do it? I guess if you worried a lot about getting breast cancer and it was a very present concern, you might want to do it. I watched my mother and sister get it, go through an awful process, and come out all right. So I figured if I have to deal with it, I will, but I didn't want to have elective surgery until I got tired of being a human pincushion. Clearly, I waited too long. And so I found myself with a bulge on my chest right about here. And every day I'd see it, reminding me that I had waited too long. So with a friend, I asked her to help me name it so that maybe, I don't know, maybe it could bother me less. So she did. She named it VoldaPort, the port that shall not be named. And the first thing I did with it is introduce it to every new nurse, every time I went in for an infusion, every time I had a lab draw. I introduced them to VoldaPort. They laughed every time. I laughed every time. I also thanked them at the start of every appointment instead of at the end. By round 6, everyone smiled when I was there. And by the way, infusion nurses are angels, and they are there to help you do something hard as well you can. But none of the naming, the smiling was fighting, and we weren't at war. That was just me setting the tone for my treatment. That's what I mean by the whole thing. I started this show because I was in it with unique experience, and I knew things that helped me on day one that are scattered across so many different people. And usually you don't have a family like mine. You don't have a sister who's been through it that you can ask, or a mother. So I wanted to make it that anyone would know what are those things that helped so that they could use them for themselves, for someone they love. And I wanted to find out what other people had discovered. The scientists, the surgeons, and the survivors. And by the way, everyone who's living with cancer is a survivor, whether or not you have evidence of disease or not. You are surviving today. So I put those people in virtual rooms, and I've had at least 52 conversations with patients, with survivors, caregivers, scientists, doctors, advocates, therapists. And I close every single one of them with the same question. What's your advice for someone who wants to kick cancer's ass? If you don't make it to the end of the episodes, you might have missed it. Here's what they said. Frankly, none of them answer about fighting. If the name of the show meant what the critics thought it meant, every answer would be about being a warrior. I don't think anyone has ever said that. So I want to share some of my favorites. Here they are, back to back. It starts with the one thing no one can do for you, how you decide to show up. Not being braver than anyone else, just how you're going to show up. And I'd love for you to notice how many different shapes that can be.
Cancer is not a death sentence. You may not feel exactly the same as you felt before cancer, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a good quality of life and you can kick cancer's ass.
Sometimes it's okay to be the soft person, allow people to take care of you. It takes a lot of energy to be fighting. Your body's going through a lot, so sometimes just being soft is okay too.
I'm the coach of my journey, and these are my team members that I'm going to use on that field to try to get to my goal.
Get up every day and say, nope, I'm not going to let cancer make me too fatigued today. I'm not going to cry all day. Same with your mindset. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to be tough.
I've had guests push back on the whole idea of fighting, which, given everything I just told you, seems like that might be an important one to hear. Deciding the role cancer gets to play means picking up the ball. Nobody's going to worry about you the way you worry about you. And being the quarterback is not about out-researching your doctors. It's about asking until I understood. It wasn't being up at night on chat or Google. It was working with phenomenal people who were at the edge of what's possible and asking questions until it made sense. Asking your doctors questions is not disrespect. And if you don't trust your team, you're allowed to go find one you do, ask for second opinions and third opinions.
Get educated, get informed. If you don't have cancer, join Wisdom. But help me raise money so I can keep this study open. Personalized screening. And get educated, get informed. You know, it's not an emergency, right? But everyone has the time to learn and learn about their own risk and learn about what they can do. And don't be afraid, because you either have the risk or you don't.
Don't back down. Get answers. And I would say also the same thing with your provider. You know, really lean into your provider and make sure that they are also supporting you.
Taking hold of your role is not the same as doing it alone. The people who take the pen, write their own story, they almost never hold that pen by themselves. I didn't. I built a team really quickly. My husband, my kids, my sister, my best friend, and the doctors and the nurses. You know, there was different nurses almost every week, and none of them worked for me. But they were my team, and I welcomed them onto the team. But you build it before you need it, as you need it, because you will need it.
Build community all the time from the get-go. Build community, because you don't know what you're going to need. You're going to need something, and you may need big things.
Some of what's yours is smaller than the diagnosis and happens on an ordinary Tuesday. 12 rounds of chemotherapy, and through all of it, I kept moving. I walked, I lifted weights, I rode the bike, yay Peloton, I ate to give my body something to work with, and I tried to give it quality food. Not because it was virtuous, because it was a variable I could control.
Be good to your body. Do one thing every day where you are consciously saying, I want to be kind to myself. Do something that is positive for your body as a whole every day.
Some of taking hold of your role is going beyond your body. I mean, I got a complete clinical response. Yay! I didn't stop. I wanted to pay it forward. This show is one of it. Speaking at cancer conferences, working with patients and advocating and educating, and walking alongside people who are in it now, patients and caregivers.
We cannot make any progress unless people are involved in clinical trials from all races, from all social determinants. So we really need as many people as possible to come forward.
How we vote might be the most important thing we do for our health right now.
So cancer comes for things you don't picture when you picture cancer. Not necessarily your hair. I didn't lose mine, thank you to Paxman's Dignicap, and not everyone does. But it can tap your energy. It can really impact your sense of yourself as a person somebody wants. My first surgery put me into menopause in my 30s. The hot flashes sucked. Nobody tells you that part of getting through is deciding what things you're going to put up with.
Cancer doesn't get to decide that you don't like sex anymore. That is not cancer's job. It doesn't get to take that from you. It's still in your control and your power.
Be vulnerable. You know, men aren't really great at vulnerability a lot of the time. And when you can kind of open yourself up and make yourself vulnerable, it just does create possibility.
I'll go back to building your self-trust, knowing that you have handled some pretty, what you say, badass things in your life, and you are equipped to address this one as well.
The part that carries you, holds you, held me while the medicine did its work. Well, I mean, I laughed. I laughed in chemo chairs more than I thought. I visited with friends that I don't always have the time for. I laughed at VoldaPort. I laughed at texts and pictures people sent me. It turns out people doing this well aren't relentlessly positive. They're the ones who can find the joke and let people send happiness their way.
Be okay with the different stages of getting better. And that's one thing I had to keep reminding myself. It's like, okay, I'm really tired today, but maybe I won't be as tired tomorrow.
There's lots of things to do, but the main thing to do is not forget that in every moment that you're alive, you can enjoy it. You can make it wonderful.
I think it means to live your best life and literally kick cancer's ass.
There's something else about why this matters right now, and it's something I didn't expect to feel so strongly when I started this podcast. This is a genuinely different moment to get cancer than the one my mother walked into at 1983 when she was 36. I'm alive, in part because I knew I carried the BRCA1 genetic mutation, genetic information she did not have. And over this year, I've sat across from scientists working on detection that catches cancer years earlier, therapies that target the biology of a specific tumor with fewer side effects, immunotherapy that teaches your own body to do the work, things that were science fiction when my family first started to have to figure out how to kick cancer's ass. And I'm not naive. People still die. My family knows it. Unfortunately, yours does too. But hope isn't a photo, a picture on a hospital wall. It's data. And that data raises the stakes on everything you've heard. Because taking hold of your role, asking questions, finding the team at the edge of what's possible that works for you, that matters more now. Not less. You have to be proactive, you have to advocate, and you have to let other people help you. There is so much more on the other side to reach for than there ever has been. It's exciting. So here's what I want you to know after 52 conversations. Kicking cancer's ass was never about winning. It was never about being a warrior or being relentlessly positive or being strong enough to deserve a good outcome. It's also not about disappearing into your diagnosis. It's deciding who you're going to be while this happens to you, what role you'll have, what role you'll let it have, and how you'll respond on the good days and on the ways where you're shook to your core. That's yours, whatever the scan or blood test says. And nobody, not cancer, not your worst day, gets to take the pen for your story out of your hand unless you hand it to them. We've talked with patients, survivors, caregivers, scientists, doctors, advocates, therapists, and we're going to keep going until everyone who hears the words "it's cancer" has the stories, the science, and the strategies to face it with confidence and thrive. You do not pick the pitch. You control your swing. Now go and kick cancer's ass. I'll see you next week.